Like the regular season MVP, Super Bowl MVP has become an award given almost exclusively to the winning quarterback. There are exceptions, but it takes an objectively bad game from the QB or a superhuman effort from another position to upset the trend. It takes some level of discernment to truly see who is the most valuable for the winning team, and it can be hard to decide who that player is in the heat of the moment. Until, like, now, when we shit all over the bad ones. The least deserving Super Bowl MVPs is coming up right after this. Before we get started, know this. Out of 55 MVPs, 30 of them have been quarterbacks, including 8 of the last 11. And one fullback won it. That was Larry Zonka, and he damn well deserved it. So for this list, we're going to look at the guys who didn't deserve it. Not that they played poorly, just that the voters were wrong because the process was flawed or because they just suck at evaluating football. Chiefs fans are triggered right about now. Patrick Mahomes tossed 2 touchdowns and ran for another when the Chiefs erased a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 55 to beat the 49ers. Poor Kyle Shanahan. Why were they in that 10-point hole? Well, Mahomes threw 2 uncharacteristic interceptions to set up a score that put the 49ers up by double digits. The man who eats a steak with ketchup put together a 78.2 passer rating in the game, a steep drop-off from the 105 rating from the regular season. His completion percentage also dropped from 66 to 62, while his yards per attempt fell from 8.3 to just 6.8. In a non-quarterback obsessed world, the trophy would have gone to Damian Williams, who rushed for over 100 yards, scored the go-ahead tutty, and then scored the one that iced it. Let's put Super Bowl MVP Dexter Jackson next to his Buccaneer teammate, Dwight Smith. Jackson picked off 2 passes and returned them for a combined 34 yards. Smith picked off 2 passes and returned them for 44 and 50 yards, both for touchdowns, and yet the voters gave the award to Jackson. Here's the problem, they voted way too early. Jackson's 2 picks came in the first half. Smith's first pick came with 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and the sequel occurred with just 11 seconds left in the fourth quarter. But by then, the ballots had already been cast because the Raiders were getting pounded on like a hedge fund manager that didn't know Reddit existed. The lesson is clear. No more voting until the final whistle. That might have been tough to coordinate with the flip phones in 2003, but modern times allow voters to wait until Lizzo sings. Rarely does a quarterback have a stellar performance and get passed up, but that's exactly what happened to Brett Favre when he beat the Pats in Super Bowl 31. Even in the middle of a run where Favre would three-peat as a regular season MVP, his 3 total touchdowns didn't get any love from the voters down in the Superdome. Almost more impressive, Favre didn't turn the ball over, which was a common theme for him in a big game. Vikings fans. But the voters were more dazzled by former Heisman Trophy winner Desmond Howard, who compiled 244 return yards, including a 99-yard touchdown in the third quarter. This is a tough call because you can make an argument for both. Howard was spectacular and probably did deserve it. But he's on this list because, well, so was Favre. His first touchdown came on the Packers' first play, and his second was an 81-yard rainbow. For a league that loves to embrace the nuts of every quarterback that can throw a clean spiral like it's a body pillow in a hotel room at a Comic-Con, the decision to give it to a special teams player was a total anomaly. Maybe the voters thought Favre would win a few more Lombardis and get some MVPs as well, but he didn't. I believe that's called Aaron Rodgersism. It's easy to understand the voters' logic during Super Bowl 35. The Ravens' defense shut out the Giants' offense, and I'm traumatized from it. The squad had one of the most killer defenses of all time. Ray Lewis was their best player. Ergo, Ray Lewis wins the Super Bowl MVP. And he was not the best player in that game. Lewis notched 4 tackles, got his hands on a few passes, but didn't pick off a pass or force a single fumble. Overall, he was very good in the game and a huge reason for the dominant win. Here's who the award could have gone to: Jamal Lewis, who broke 100 yards and scored a touchdown, or Dwayne Starks, who picked off a pass and returned it for a tutty. Jermaine Lewis, who housed a kick return to ice the game, or Michael McCrary, who sacked Kerry Collins twice and forced a fumble. These great performances have been lost forever like a blood-soaked white suit. Let's take a break and hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Well, a lot of us recently became experts on risk, did we not? What if I told you there was a way to make sports really fun, win cash prizes, and have it be not only totally free, but risk-free as well? Let me introduce you to SBD Play, a site that hooks you up with $500 in virtual cash, publishes real odds on real teams, and if you are number one on the leaderboard at the end of the week, you win $500 in real cash. What's the catch? There isn't one. Watch me here. I have my virtual cash, and look, there's a big game coming up this weekend, and I'm definitely taking the Chiefs and the points because Tom Brady. And that's it. And for the big game, SBD Play is giving away $6,000 with 5 different winners. This is without a doubt the best way to test your strategy and sports knowledge without losing your shirt. And unlike Wall Street, only upside. So after this video, click the link in the description and sign up for SBD Play and get a virtual $500 to bet with code SBD2021. Again, use the link below and get a virtual $500 for freaking free. Thank you, SBD Play, for sponsoring this video. How much do you remember from Super Bowl 53? Probably not much. Here's a refresher. The Patriots and the Rams traded field goals until the fourth quarter when Jared Goff threw a crippling interception that led to Tom Brady's 6th Super Bowl victory with the Patriots. The guy who picked off that pass, Stephon Gilmore, should have won the MVP. Instead, it went to Julian Edelman, who made some plays in the passing game that weren't necessarily impactful, but certainly killed time during one of the most boring Super Bowls ever. This case also applies to the Patriots' first Super Bowl victory in 2001. The narrative surrounding Tom Brady, the 6th-round pick replacing Drew Bledsoe and leading a game-winning drive to beat the St. Louis Rams. The forgotten story was the Patriots' defense that held the greatest show on turf to just 17 points. I think Barry is at full mast right now. The Patriots' 2 corners, Otis Smith and Ty Law, held Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt to a combined 110 yards, and Law added a pick 6 that completely changed the game. Instead, Tom Brady, who managed the game nicely, earned MVP for dinking and dunking and allowing Adam Vinatieri to bail him out when they got into field goal range. Just 5.4 yards per attempt and 1 touchdown. 13 points on the board in both of those games. The defense won both Super Bowls against the Rams, but the voters crowned the offense. Before we get to the least deserving Super Bowl MVP of all time, here's a stupid fact about the award. Guess which team has the most Super Bowl MVPs of all time? It should be a tie between the Patriots and Steelers at 6 because they're the only teams who have won that many Super Bowls. Wrong, you fucking idiot. It's the Cowboys who have had 7 Super Bowl MVPs. Wait, they only won 5. Surely the math isn't mathing here. But it's true because Cowboys linebacker Chuck Howley won the award in Super Bowl 5 despite the fact that the Cowboys lost to the Colts. Does that mean that Julio Jones gets a Super Bowl MVP? 7 years later, Harvey Martin and Randy White earned co-MVP honors against the Broncos. These were the only time that's ever happened, and there were probably not incentives linked to the award. And now, here is the least deserving Super Bowl MVP of all time. Larry Brown won MVP in the Cowboys' win against the Steelers, not because he was the best player in that game, but because Neil O'Donnell was so bad he's banned from Pittsburgh now. Brown had 2 interceptions in the game. They were huge, consequential interceptions that totally changed Dallas's fortunes and set them up to win the game. But look for a second beyond the numbers. Brown was wide open, which is something you should be saying about a wide receiver, not a cornerback, in the desert at night. He returned it inside the 10 and the Cowboys scored a touchdown to ice their 3rd championship in 4 years. The 2 passes were so inexplicably bad that some theorize that Neil O'Donnell must have had money on Dallas. But the explanation for the 2nd pick was this. The Cowboys blitzed and O'Donnell expected his receiver to break off the route short, which of course did not happen. Brown was in the right place at the right time again, and the voters took note. This isn't a knock on Brown. He could have dropped those 2 picks or fumbled or simply dropped dead. But he is a perfect case study on how voters vote. They don't note that Charles Haley was there to cause Neil O'Donnell to throw an errant pass. Just that Larry Brown was there on the receiving end. They watch the ball, never the line, never the blanket coverage on the opposite side of the field. Ah well, there are much bigger injustices in the world, right? Like not being able to buy artificially inflated cryptocurrency or an app that touts itself as investing for the people f***ing over its own people. Also, if any of you type Eli Manning down in the comments, my body is ready. I'm 5 Points Vids and you made it to my next video.